Good afternoon to all of you. Students, welcome over here. Today we are going to study very important part of organic chemistry. The first part which we are going to study is properties of organic compounds. As far as examination is concerned, this is very important. It is important because 60 to 70% of the questions will be asked from this topic which I am teaching today. Okay, that's the first thing. Not only that, okay, this topic is so simple. I don't say it is simple, but this topic is so important. In coming next 4 semester, जैसे आप यूज करते हैं 2 into 5 equals to 10, उसी तरीके से आज के जो टॉपिक में सिखा रहा हूँ, those topics will be used in that manner. Okay, the first point which we are going to start today is inductive effect. What are we going to start today is inductive effect. It's like this. Inductive effect of polar nature of covalent bonds. See, first of all, here it has been said the displacement of an electron said along the carbon chain due to the presence of an electron withdrawing or releasing groups in the carbon chain is known as inductive effect. So let me explain. This is the definition of inductive effect. The definition is like this. However, we will study what is inductive effect. In inductive effect, they are saying displacement of shared electron pair. See, for an example, if I have a compound CH3, CH2, 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 CH. Here, we know about this. Here, the electron pair is shared between carbon and chlorine, and we are also aware about that. Chlorine is partially negative and carbon is partially positive because chlorine is electronegative element compared to carbon. So it pulls the electron pair towards itself, and that's why it develops partial negative charge and it develops partial positive charge. We know about this. Are you aware about that? Okay, we have learned this in chapter number 3. If we have two substances which has different electronegativity, then higher electronegative substance pulls the electron pair towards itself. And normally halogen group is more electronegative and chlorine belongs to halogen group. So that's why it pulls the electron pair. Is this understood? Inductive effect is not this. This is called electronegativity. What do we call it? Electronegativity. Or we do call it a polar bond is taking place over here. And that's fine. This is a polar bond. About polar bond we have learned in chapter number 3. But right now we will teach you something else. See what was happening over here. Chlorine was pulling electron pair of carbon which was associated with different carbons. If I draw structure it a bit differently over here. Chlorine was pulling electron pair of this carbon. Okay, just for understanding sake, I am saying it is pulling, and there are this is the force by which it is pulling, and here it develops partial negative charge, and here partial positive charge has been developed. Till this, have you understood? We know about this. Now होता क्या है? ये कार्बन का इलेक्ट्रॉन ये क्लोरीन ने खींच लिया. In return, this carbon pulls the electron from the adjacent carbon. वो अपने बाजू वाले कार्बन में से इलेक्ट्रॉन खींचता है अपनी ओर. ओके, इसका इसने खींचा तो वो बाजू वाला का खींचेगा. एंड ये भी स्मार्ट है, वो अपने बाजू वाला खींच रहा है. एंड दिस पार्शियल पॉजिटिव चार्ज, sorry, it's partial positive. Here we can see one thing. Okay, this and the bond between chlorine and carbon bond between this chlorine and carbon was polar, but that polarity has spread throughout the chain. It has spread throughout the chain, and consequently the carbon pulls the electron to the nearby carbon and it pulls the electron of the nearby carbon. This effect is known as inductive effect. Have you understood? The pulling of electron, spreading in carbon chain, pulling of electron spreading in carbon chain is known as inductive effect. It's not necessary that it is being always pulled. Okay, there are certain groups are like this, which are going to donate electron. For an example, I have a carbon chain. I am not drawing hydrogen. Okay, we are right now understanding the pulling of electron or pushing of electron in carbon chain. Suppose if I have a carbon chain and there is one group as joined over here. Let's say this group is donating electron. What does it do? It does donate electron. So because of that, it develops partial negative charge and this develops partial positive charge. But the donation of electron does not limit to between carbon in the group. It has been pushed to the next carbon, to the next carbon, to the next carbon. So what is inductive effect? If we see what is inductive effect, so we are seeing it over here. The displacement of an electron, that is shared pair, along the carbon chain. The displacement was not limited between one carbon and one group. It was along the carbon chain due to the presence of an electron withdrawing group. The first case which I had explained, it was pulled. Chlorine was pulling the electron. Second time it was releasing electron. So displacement is okay. So here, displacement of an electron along the carbon chain, presence of an electron withdrawing or electron releasing group in the carbon chain is known as inductive effect. There are two kinds of inductive effect. Okay, one effect which we talked about over here. This is electron withdrawing group. Okay, these groups, this particular group withdraws. This group normally withdraws this group is withdrawing the electron pair towards itself. There is another group which donates the electron pair. This group donates the electron pair. This group is donating electron pair. You can see. Are you following this? Are you getting this? Okay. But the effect is insignificant beyond third carbon. Yes, we have seen that it does pull the electron, it does release the electron, but till what carbon? It does do it till only third carbon. Beyond third carbon, it is insignificant. So this was the first carbon directly added to the group. This is second carbon. This is third carbon. तो ये जो पुलिंग हो रहा है मैक्सिमम टिल कहाँ तक रहेगा? थर्ड. अगर सपोज वन मोर कार्बन इफ वी डू हैव यहाँ पे पुलिंग होगा? नहीं होगा. Here pulling will not take place. Same way यहाँ पे pushing of electron, releasing of electron is okay significant till carbon number 1, 2 and 3. Okay, not beyond carbon number 3. So but the effect is insignificant beyond third carbon. This effect is transmitted. Okay, this effect will be transmitted through only chain of sigma bonds. The important thing over here is that this effect is only present in single bonds, and single bonds are always sigma bonds. If you have double bond in a chain, it will not take place. This effect transmitted only through single bonds, sigma bonds. Is it understood? This effect is transmitted through the chain of sigma bonds and then diminishes. Diminishes का मतलब है it's okay after certain carbon it gets diminishes का there are two meaning we can take. First meaning okay slowly decreases. You may see over here. Suppose here the force of pulling is by 3 times, then it becomes twice and then becomes 1. Slowly it decreases as the distance increases. You can see it over here also. Here there are 3 arrows, then become 2 and then become 1. As you move away from the group, this force of either releasing electron or withdrawing electron decreases. That's called diminishes. The meaning of diminishes, first thing is slowly it decreases and second diminishes meaning okay it ends after third carbon atom. Diminishes मतलब खत्म हो गया. Okay, with increasing chain. Are you getting this? All of you are getting this? Is there anyone who is not able to understand? About. Let's continue further. Okay. Inductive effect is there are two kinds of inductive effect. Is thus okay. By the inductive effect is thus. Let's see if I have missed out anything. No. Okay. So here summary. Inductive effect is thus a permanent effect. It is always there. See, there are two kinds of effect are there. Okay. One effect is permanent. Before I'll explain you what is permanent, let me explain what is temporary. Temporary effect. In temporary effect, suppose if I have a compound A, normally it does not have certain properties. It's lacking in certain properties. But अगर इसके बाजू में if there is another reagent B, if B comes over here, this compound A develops one particular kind of property. So what are we understanding over here? If B is absent, there is no property. If B is present, it develops certain property. So this property is not permanent. It is because of the presence of B, A develops certain property. This is called temporary property. It's not the nature of A to develop that property. A develops it because B is there. Because B is there. In detail, I'm going to talk to you about this in this lecture itself. But let me finish this topic. Permanent is always present there. The meaning of permanent is always present there. Okay. Let me just erase this part. Okay. Are you getting this? Okay. Continue. So first of all, inductive effect is a permanent effect. You'll always see it. Okay, it's inbuilt. If I talk about this, it has its property spread. It doesn't require any B compound to be present there. Whether B is present or absent, it doesn't make any difference. It is always there. It is always there. That's why it's called permanent. The electrons never leave the original atomic orbital. This is fantastic. Okay, we know. Okay, chlorine has pulled the electron. Okay, that's fine. Okay, just let me clear this in. Okay, see, if I talk about this carbon and chlorine, let's say they have shared this orbital and electron pair is here. Now, when chlorine is pulling the electron pair, when chlorine is pulling the electron pair towards this side, okay, let me repeat it again. Things have to change color from here. This chlorine has pulled the electron pair towards itself. At that time, the electron pair which was shared between carbon and chlorine, it does not leave its orbital. It's just pulled towards chlorine. That means it will be like this. Carbon ka orbital will be little bit stretched towards chlorine. This is the orbital where they are sharing the electron. Okay. The orbital gets little bit stretched. इलेक्ट्रॉन अपनी ऑर्बिटल छोड़ता नहीं है, ऑर्बिटल थोड़ी पुल होती है. छोड़ने का मतलब क्या होता है? इफ इट इज टेकिंग प्लेस लाइक दिस, क्लोरीन ने इलेक्ट्रॉन गेन किया, देन इलेक्ट्रॉन हैज लेफ्ट इट्स पोजीशन एंड क्लोरीन के अंदर चला गया. वो तो आयोनाइजेशन है. दैट इज आयोनाइजेशन. आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट आयोनाइजेशन. हियर इज जस्ट पुलिंग ऑफ इलेक्ट्रॉन. There is a difference of pulling and leaving electron. Okay, leaving of electron is this, where electron leaves its orbital and joins the orbital of chlorine. Here it's not like that. They are sharing a pair of electron between two orbitals, and here chlorine is pulling towards itself. It gets pulled towards chlorine. That's why it develops partial negative charge and partial positive charge. Okay, so the electrons never leave their original atomic orbital. Is it understood? Operates to only sigma bonds. We talked about it. It operates to only single bonds or sigma bonds. Polarization of electron is always in single direction. That means when it is spread like this, let's say this group is withdrawing electron, then withdrawal is in the same direction. All of them they will be withdrawn in one direction. Okay? ऐसा नहीं है कि बीच में कहीं पे अलग तरीके से विड्रॉल हो गया. They are in the same direction. Is it understood? Are you following me? Let's continue further. It is generally observed in saturated compound. Yes, because it is only in sigma bonds or single bonds. So single bond compounds are always known as saturated compounds, or rather say alkanes, or rather say its magnitude, that means either electron withdrawing or donating, decrease with increasing distance. We have learned that as the number of carbon increases, the magnitude decreases. Is it understood? बराबर छे. Let's continue further. On the basis of inductive effect, groups can be of two types. We have two kinds of groups over here. We have two kinds of groups. Okay. The first group is called negative inductive group. Okay. Inductive group is denoted by capital I. By the way, all these things I have, okay, it's not directly from textbook, but it has been given in study book, in printed form. It has been given to all of you. Okay. This PowerPoint presentation is being given to you. Okay. And hopefully it will be available on online, okay, Facebook. Let's see how today's lecture goes. Negative inductive group. The group which withdraws electrons is known as negative inductive group. Okay, there are two kinds of group we have seen. One group is pulling electron, second group is pushing electron, releasing electron. The one which withdraws or pulls, they are called negative inductive group. And this effect, if they are pulling towards itself, then that effect is known as negative inductive effect. That is known as negative inductive effect. Negative power of various groups are as follows. We have different groups, and we have to learn this series. Nitro has the highest electron withdrawing effect. Then second is cyanide, and then we have COH. Obviously, in elements, halogen group has the highest electronegativity. So these three were compounds, but in element, fluorine is the highest electronegative, so it has the highest negative inductive effect. Then chlorine, then bromine, then iodine. Then we have hydroxy, ethoxy, not ethoxy, it represents alkoxy. Amines, alkynes, C triple bond C, phenyl, vinyl, CH double bond CH2 is called vinyl group, and hydrogen. Our textbook has same series but less number of compounds, not so many. Is it understood? Important MCQ. Let me ask you. Board exam, semester 1 exam. Is it understood? Are you getting me? Pakka. Okay. Let's continue further. But before continuing further, let me explain something else also. See, second is positive inductive effect, but before going to positive inductive effect, let me take simple another concept and then I go to positive inductive effect. And that concept is like this. It's a very simple concept. We know about this alkane, alkyne. Let me explain it. Alkane and alkyne. See, we have different alkane groups. CH4. Suppose due to one reason, okay, during one reaction, hydrogen of alkane is removed. Then आपके पास जो बच जाता है उसको हम अल्काइल बोलते हैं. What do we call? Alkyne. Are you following that? जैसे कि मीथेन से मिथाइल. Okay? आपके पास इथेन है, इथेन से मिथाइल. बाय द वे हाइड्रोजन निकल गया तो कंपाउंड की वैलेंसी कम हो जाएगी बिकॉज कार्बन मेक्स 4 बॉन्ड्स. कार्बन कितने बॉन्ड बनाता है? 4. तो अगर CH4 था तो एक हाइड्रोजन चला गया तो उसकी जगह पे क्या आएगा? ऑलवेज हाइड्रोजन की जगह पे कुछ ना कुछ नया बॉन्ड ग्रुप आता है. लेट्स कॉल इट अनदर ग्रुप इज जॉइंड. Any group. It may be halogen, it may be alcohol, it may be carboxylic acid. We don't know. Okay, just general represent हमने क्या किया? Group G. Is that understood? यहाँ पे भी group G लगता है. So, okay, we may give the name. For an example, ethane से हमको क्या मिला? Ethyl. Okay, we have C3H8 propane, and from propane, one hydrogen has been removed. We get propyl. Correct or not? And let's say we have, I'm sorry, it's supposed to be C4H9, C4H10, rather say. C4H10 minus hydrogen, we are getting C4H9. Butyl. Okay, that's very easy to understand. Pentyl से pentyl, hexane से hexane. Okay, no issues. But let me talk to you over here. Let's talk about butyl. See, this is your propane. Correct? Now in this propane, we know hydrogen has been removed. Okay, let's say, okay, if I just convenience sake, if I'm giving the number 1, 2 and 3, there are 3 carbon. Okay, and if hydrogen is removed from first carbon, hydrogen is removed from where? From first carbon, then we have, this is our propyl group, and some compound has to join over here, some functional group has to join over there. And suppose hydrogen has left from the second carbon, then group will join over here. Both of them, they are definitely from propane, so we are getting propyl, no doubt. Both of them, they are propyl group, but still you can say structurally they are different, because in the first structure hydrogen is removed from the first carbon, and in second structure hydrogen is removed from the second carbon. So though they are propyl, we cannot say they are propyl. We have to a little bit different name, and those names is like this. Since the hydrogen was removed from the first, it is called 1-propyl, and here hydrogen was removed from the second carbon, that's why it's called 2-propyl. Is it understood? Any doubt over here? Any questions? Okay. One more point. Sometimes Okay, they have been given name on the basis of the carbon which has lost hydrogen is directly connected with how many other carbons. Understand these words. Okay, here this carbon has lost the hydrogen. It is connected with how many other carbon directly? I think so, only one. But as far as the 2-propyl group was concerned, this carbon which has lost hydrogen, now it is connected with 2 more carbon. Correct or not? So these two, on the basis of this, if you have a carbon which has lost hydrogen, if it is connected with one more carbon, then it's called primary alkyl group. Then it is called, and normally denoted by 1, and in superscript we write a knot, 1 knot. 1 knot represents primary, 1 knot represents primary. Here the carbon which has lost hydrogen, this carbon has lost hydrogen, it is directly connected with 2 more. It is connected with how many? 2 more. We can see that 1 and 2. Correct or not? Since it is connected directly with 2, that's why it's called secondary, or we may write 2 and in superscript we write not. Secondary alkyl group. So we may write 1-propyl or primary propyl. We may write 2-propyl or secondary propyl. Similarly, if I have butane, we know this butane and we got butyl group. For butyl, let me have certain structures which are possible. Okay. These are the possible structures. This is C4H8 butane, and I am having 3 different structures for butane. Okay, this was one butane. And this is also called butane. Am I right? They are isomers of butane. One is normal butane and second is called isobutane, or IUPAC name says 2-methyl propane. IUPAC name says 2-methyl propane. See over here, I have 2 structures. From this structure, I get 2 kinds of alkyl group. I do get 2 kinds of alkyl group. Suppose one hydrogen is released from here. Okay, then group is attached over here, and as I already explained, this carbon is losing hydrogen and that carbon is directly connected with one more carbon, so we call this as primary butyl group. Understood? Okay, it may lose carbon from here. Sorry, it may lose hydrogen from the second carbon. 1, 2, 3, 4. Second carbon, if it loses hydrogen, CH3, CH2, CH, CH3. Group is attached over here. And as I had explained you earlier, since this carbon is losing hydrogen and it is attached with 2 more, then we call it secondary butyl group. Is it understood? Are you following me? Okay. Now here, I got a fantastic one for you. Pay attention over here. We had another structure of butane. Am I right? We have another structure of butane, and from that structure, let's say, okay, if I give the numbering, if we remove hydrogen from here, here, or here, I think it's same. Okay. Right now, I'm not talking about too much of that, but pay attention over here. Let's say it's released from this carbon. It has been released from this carbon. and this carbon is attached with how many directly carbon? One. So again we'll call this as a primary butane. It would have been similar case if hydrogen would have removed from this carbon. Again it would have been a primary, and same case with this. Correct or not? All these three, this one, and this one would have produced primary butyl. But right now I am interested in this. Suppose this carbon is releasing here, releasing hydrogen. Suppose this carbon just now which I had, okay, circle. This is the. Suppose is that carbon is releasing hydrogen. It had only one hydrogen and that has been released, and one more new group has been connected. But now you see the carbon which has released hydrogen, now it is attached with 3 more carbon. It's a new group. They are known as tertiary butyl. They are known as tertiary butyl. So understand one thing over here. Alkyl group has 3 kinds of alkyl group. One is primary butyl, second is secondary, and tertiary. How do we name them? How do we recognize them? The carbon which has lost hydrogen is directly connected with how many other carbons? If it is connected with 1 more, then primary. If it is attached with 2, then we call it secondary. If it is attached with 3 more, then we call it tertiary. Are you following this? Have you understood till now? Yes or no? Thank you for that.